Break free. That's the topic today, and honestly, it's a conversation men have been dodging for way too long. Because let's be real for a second, every man wants control, every man wants discipline, every man wants to look in the mirror and say, I run my life. But too many guys out here are secretly enslaved by habits they swear they can quit anytime. Addictions, whether it's porn, weed, betting, sex, drinking, or even the constant chase for dopamine, are quietly dragging modern men backwards. Welcome back to the channel, Kings. Today, I'm not here to pamper you. I'm here to talk to you the way men should talk to men, direct, honest, and deeply uncomfortable if necessary. Because the truth is simple. You can't lead, you can't build, you can't protect, and you can't rise if you're still chained to the very habits draining your strength. And I know you feel it. That quiet frustration, that sense that you're meant for more, that voice inside whispering, "Guy, this thing they hold you back." This video is your wake-up call, not to shame you, but to teach you how to finally take control, reclaim your power, and become the man you were actually designed to be. 1. The hidden chains. Most men don't even notice when addiction starts creeping in. It rarely arrives with loud footsteps. It slips in quietly, like a habit you swear is harmless. One harmless click, one harmless drink, one harmless bet, one harmless, "I just need to relax." And before you know it, the habit starts calling your name more than your goals do. That's how the chains are built, quietly, slowly, silently. And because men like to act strong, most guys pretend nothing is wrong. They hide behind confidence. They hide behind jokes. They hide behind, "Guy, forget, I dey control him." But deep down, they know something else is pulling the strings. Addiction doesn't always look like a man shaking in withdrawal. Sometimes it's just a man who can't stop scrolling, a man who can't stop chasing pleasure, a man who keeps promising himself he'll change tomorrow, but somehow never does. It's the subtle loss of control that scares men the most, and that's exactly why so many don't talk about it. Nobody wants to admit that something small, something normal has started controlling them. Men don't like feeling powerless, so they learn to deny it. They learn to hide it. They learn to normalize it. But here's the truth most men don't like to face. Addiction doesn't care how strong you look. It doesn't care how confident you act. It doesn't care how much money you make or how smart you think you are. Addiction only cares about one thing, staying in control of you. And it does that by blending into your daily routine. It becomes part of your morning, part of your night, part of your stress, part of your comfort. And once it becomes part of your identity, breaking free feels almost impossible. The crazy part? Most men think they're the ones choosing the habit. They think they're the ones in charge. But if you can't go a week without it, you're not choosing it anymore. It's choosing you. That's the hidden chain, the quiet grip, the subtle trap. And the moment a man accepts this truth, he begins to regain his power. Because awareness is the first step to freedom. Many guys think addictions come from weakness. No, most addictions come from pain, stress, pressure, loneliness, failure, expectations. Society tells men to endure everything without complaining, so they search for escape routes in private. And the more they rely on it, the deeper the chain sinks. But here's the part every man needs to remember. Noticing the chain doesn't make you weak. It makes you aware. It makes you awake. It makes you dangerous in a good way. Because once you see what's holding you down, you can finally fight it. You can finally break it. You can finally take your life back. This section is your mirror, your wake-up call, your "bro, look closer." Because freedom starts the moment a man stops lying to himself and admits, "This thing is controlling me, and I'm done letting it win." 2. The silent damage addiction doesn't always ruin your life loudly. Sometimes it destroys a man quietly, piece by piece, until he can't even recognize himself anymore. And the wild part? Most men won't notice the damage until it's already deep. That's why this section matters, because when you understand how these habits affect you from the inside out, you stop treating them like small issues and start seeing them as threats to your future. Here's the first thing every man needs to understand. Addiction rewires your brain, not in a dramatic movie way, but in a slow, consistent, sneaky way. Your brain runs on dopamine, that feel-good chemical that rewards you when you do something productive, something meaningful, something challenging. But addiction hacks that system. It gives you pleasure without effort, reward without work, excitement without achievement. And once your brain gets used to that shortcut, it becomes harder to focus, harder to stay motivated, harder to build anything long-term. That's why you see guys struggling with consistency, not because they're lazy, but because their brain has been trained to chase quick dopamine instead of real goals. When a man is hooked on a habit that gives instant pleasure, real life starts to feel boring. Work feels boring. School feels boring. Chasing purpose feels boring. Conversations feel boring. Even relationships can start feeling dull, not because the person is wrong, but because addiction has drained the ability to enjoy real connection. But it doesn't stop there. Addiction also affects your confidence, not in the loud way, but in the subtle, I'm not proud of myself way. A man knows when he's slipping. A man knows when he's not living up to his own potential. Addiction creates this quiet guilt, this hidden shame, this private disappointment that eats at your self-respect. And once you lose self-respect, your decision-making collapses. You start letting little things slide. You start avoiding challenges. You stop dreaming big because you don't feel strong enough to chase anything higher than your habits. Addiction also messes with your energy. It drains your body, disrupts your sleep, weakens your discipline, and scatters your focus. And when a man has low energy, his ambition drops, his drive drops, his leadership drops, his ability to control his emotions drops. You can't operate like a king when your body and mind are running on empty. That's why you see many men walking around tired, unmotivated, distracted, and emotionally unstable. Not because life is too hard, but because their habits are bleeding them dry from the inside. And here's the part men don't talk about enough. Addiction affects relationships too. A man who is ruled by his urges struggles with trust, patience, communication, and long-term commitment. You can't build a strong relationship when your attention is constantly pulled by something else. Stability requires discipline. Love requires presence. And addiction steals both. Understanding this silent damage is the wake-up call. Because once a man sees how deep the impact goes, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, he stops treating addiction like a small habit and starts treating it like the enemy of his potential. This is where self-awareness begins, and self-awareness is the foundation of change. 3. The escape plan. Breaking free from addiction isn't magic. It's not a sudden miracle. It's not a perfect overnight transformation. It's a process, a real, honest, sometimes uncomfortable process. And the earlier a man understands that, the easier it becomes to take control. This section is all about giving you practical, realistic steps you can actually apply in real life, not motivational quotes that fade after 10 minutes. The first step is awareness. A man can't defeat what he refuses to acknowledge. You must be brutally honest with yourself. Look at the habits you depend on. Look at the patterns that keep pulling you back. Look at the triggers that push you toward temptation. Awareness is like turning on the lights in a dark room. Suddenly you see the mess clearly, and that clarity alone starts changing your mindset. The moment you can say, yes, this thing is controlling me, you've already taken your first step out of its grip. The next step is interruption. Every addiction has a loop, a cue, a craving, an action, and a reward. If you break the loop, you weaken the addiction. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to suddenly stop everything. It means interrupting the pattern. When the urge comes, change your environment. Take a walk. Step outside. Reach out to someone. Move your body. Addictions grow strongest when you stay still. Movement disrupts the cycle. Then comes replacement. You can't just remove a habit. The brain hates empty spaces. You must replace the addictive behavior with something healthier. If your addiction is triggered at night, create a night routine that doesn't leave room for temptation. If your addiction comes from boredom, add activities that challenge you. If it comes from stress, learn healthier ways to cope. This is how you slowly train your brain to choose growth instead of escape. Another crucial step is accountability. Men try to fight their battles alone because society teaches us to stay silent. But the truth is, no man rises alone. You need someone you trust, a friend, a mentor, a brother, someone who checks in on you, someone who calls you out when you start slipping, someone who reminds you of the man you're trying to become. Accountability isn't weakness, it's strategy. And then there's discipline. Discipline isn't punishment, it's protection. It's the system you build around your life to prevent you from falling back into old habits. Discipline looks like setting boundaries. It looks like controlling your environment. It looks like waking up with structure. It looks like choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. Consistency beats motivation every time. Finally, celebrate progress. Not perfection, not the final result. Every day you resist. Every time you choose differently. Every moment you interrupt the habit. That's progress. Addiction loses its power when you recognize your small victories, because those small wins create momentum. And momentum creates transformation. Breaking free is possible, not for special men, not for lucky men, for any man willing to be honest, intentional, and patient with himself. This is the escape plan, not fantasy, not theory. Just real steps for real men ready to take their lives back. 4. The new you. There's a powerful shift that happens when a man finally takes control of his habits. It doesn't just change his mind. It doesn't just change his routine. It changes his whole life, including the way he shows up in his relationships. Because the truth is simple. When a man is ruled by addiction, he can't fully show up for anyone, not even the woman he loves. But when he breaks free, something new comes alive in him. Something stronger, something steadier, something she can feel without him even saying a word. Think about a guy in a relationship who has been battling a private addiction for years. Maybe it's porn, maybe it's betting, maybe it's late-night habits he hides from his girlfriend. She might not know every detail, but she can feel the distance. She feels the inconsistency. She feels the emotional gaps. She feels when he's mentally absent even while sitting right beside her. Addiction always leaks into a relationship, even when the man thinks he's hiding it well. But the moment he decides to take control, everything changes. His energy shifts. His focus sharpens. His presence becomes real again. Instead of zoning out, he starts paying attention. Instead of avoiding conversations, he becomes open. Instead of being irritated over small things, he gains emotional stability, and she notices. Women always notice when a man becomes grounded. It makes her feel safe. It makes her trust him more. It makes her respect him on a deeper level. That's the thing most men overlook. Breaking free from addiction doesn't just build your discipline, it improves your connection. A man with self-control becomes a man with authority, a man with direction, a man who leads his relationship with clarity instead of confusion. When he stops chasing instant pleasure, he becomes someone who can commit, someone who can plan, someone who thinks long-term. And that type of man becomes far more attractive, far more dependable, far more valuable. Imagine that same guy months later. He's not perfect, but he's consistent. He's investing in his mind. He's building his habits. He's protecting his peace. And now when his girlfriend looks at him, she doesn't see a man fighting silent battles. She sees a man who is growing, a man gaining strength, a man who can build a future. The relationship becomes healthier because he is healthier. His love becomes clearer because his mind is clearer. And the transformation doesn't stop there. Friends notice it. Family notices it. Even the man himself starts feeling a different type of confidence. Not the loud kind, but the quiet, real kind that comes from discipline. That's the real reward of breaking free. Not just freedom from addiction, but freedom to become the best version of yourself. The new you is not created overnight. He is built through choices, through discipline, through honesty, through growth. And when a man rises like that, his entire life rises with him, including his relationship, his opportunities, and his future. Freedom isn't about being perfect. It's about making choices that protect your mind, body, and future. Every man faces battles, but only those willing to see their chains and take action can truly break free. The process isn't easy, but it's worth it. Awareness, discipline, accountability, and consistent effort create momentum that transforms life. When you take control, you don't just improve yourself, you strengthen your relationships, your confidence, and your purpose. Every step you take toward freedom is a step toward becoming the man you were meant to be. The power is already in you.